Okay, we continue our Bible study. This is for August the 23rd. We're in Genesis on chapter 34. Last time, chapters 32 and 33, you remember Jacob and Esau met each other. Jacob was, of course, terrified that Esau was coming to, kill him. But in fact, Esau was very prosperous in his own right. And they, the meeting was cordial, although Esau wanted to travel with Jacob, but Jacob didn't want to push his luck, so he told Esau to go ahead and he would follow, but Jacob went a different way. So that's the last we're going to see of Jacob and Esau. But it did end peaceably, and Jacob at the very end came to Shechem and bought a piece of land. So now he has actual possession of some of the promised land. Now, chapter 34 is really kind of a violent chapter. It's about Jacob's daughter, Dinah, or Dinah, however you want to pronounce it, and what happens to her. So, chapter 34. Now, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Jacob, his only daughter of all these kids, went out to visit the women of the land. And when Shechem, well, that's the name of this place, okay? When Shechem, the son of Hamor, who Jacob had just bought land from, okay, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humbled her. In other words, he raped her, okay? So there's no other way to say it. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the maiden and spoke tenderly to her. So after he raped her, he falls in love with her. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this maiden for my wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his sons were with his cattle in the field, so Jacob held his peace until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. The sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry, because he had wrought folly in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing ought not to be done. There are two problems here. First of all, the men and women of Israel are not supposed to be having intimate relationships with other people outside the tribe. So that's one problem. But the other problem, of course, is that it was a rape. But Hamor spoke with him, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. I pray you, give her to him in marriage. Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it and get property in it." So Hamor, saying, "Let our families intermarry and intermingle." Well, that's not going to happen. At least not from Jacob's side. We're not going to intermarry with you. Shechem also said, verse 11, Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask me ever so much as marriage present and gift, and I will give according as you say to me. Only give me the maiden to be my wife." So he obviously is in love with her after raping her, and is willing to give any bride price. But now listen to this, verse 13. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. They said to him, "We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a disgrace to us. Only on this condition will we consent to you, that you will become as we are, and every male of you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, we'll take our daughter and we'll be gone." Now, if you've ever seen a brand new baby boy be circumcised, screaming his head off. Okay. Have you ever seen a grown man after circumcision? I have. Years ago when I was in college, I was working at a daycare center, And one of the custodians there was a young African-American man who was, I don't know, his late teens, early 20s. He decided he would be circumcised. Don't know why. So he had the procedure. Several days later, I saw him, and his pants were down almost to his knees. And he was walking with a really wide straddle. I said, "What's up?" He said, "I was circumcised." So what I was saying to you is that if all these men agree to be circumcised, they're going to be out of commission for a while. And that's the plan. Okay, that's the plan. Verse 18. Their words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem, and the young man did not delay to do the thing because he had delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was the most honored of all his family. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, "These men are friendly with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters in marriage, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us, to become one people, so that every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised." But look at this next verse. "Will not their cattle, their property, and will their beasts be ours?" So they've got an ulterior motive too. Shechem and them are thinking, okay, we'll do this, but then ultimately we will overwhelm them, and everything they have will belong to us. So both sides are acting in bad faith. "Only let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us." And all who went out to the gate of the city hearkened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, and all who went out of the gate of his city. Verse 25. On the third day when they were sore, two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers. Now remember, you got all these kids, okay, but they're all from different women. You got 4 women, remember? But Dinah has 2 full brothers, okay? Simeon and Levi. Levi, by the way, is an ancestor of Moses. So these are her full brothers. They took their swords and came upon the city unawares and killed all the males. They slew Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. So all this time, Dinah's been in Shechem's house. There's no discussion as to, is she there willingly? Has he captured her and will not let her leave? Does she want to marry him? Does she all of a sudden love the man who raped her, a foreigner? I would probably have to say no to all of that. You know, my best sense would be that he has pretty much enslaved her. Okay, we don't know. 27. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city because her sister had been defiled. Now here come the rest of their brothers, okay? They took their flocks, their herds, their asses, whatever was in the city and the field, all their wealth, all their little ones and their wives. In other words, they took all the women and children. All that was in the houses they captured and made them their prey. So they completely wiped out this entire family and taken everything from them. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You brought trouble on me by making me odious to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household." But they said, "Should he treat our sister as a harlot?" It's kind of a violent story, but I kind of agree with the brothers, actually. All right, let's go into chapter 35, kind of get this kind of taste of this bad story out of our mouth. Okay. Chapter 35. God said to Jacob, "Arise, go to Bethel, dwell there, make an altar to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you and purify yourselves. Change your garments, and then let us arise and go to Bethel, that I may make there an altar to the God who answered me in the day of my distress and has been with me wherever I've gone." So they gave to Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and the rings that were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was near Shechem. So why does everybody have all these foreign gods? Well, because all these women that they just captured and married, they brought all their little gods with them. Remember, everybody had gods. God of, the rain god, the sun, god of the field, whatever. And so when these foreign women, Shechem's, came into the brothers, they brought their customs with them. And this is a problem throughout the whole history of Israel. Whenever they would get involved with other people's gods would come in, and Yahweh, God, would get angry. Verse 5, and as they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities who were round about them, so they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. In other words, the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites did not come to take vengeance on Jacob and his family because of what had happened to Shechem. I don't know why. Maybe they just figured, gosh, these people are pretty ferocious. We're just going to leave them alone. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar, called the place El Bethel, because there God had revealed himself to him when he fled from his brother. And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried under an oak below Bethel. The name of that was called Alon Bakuth. Remember, I've told you before, so many of these little episodes that don't seem to make any... Why do we even have this? It's because it's about answering the question, why is this place named so-and-so? And all these places have a naming ideology. And in this case, it's because this is where, Deborah died. Verse 9, God appeared to Jacob again when he came to Paddan Aram and blessed him. And God said to him, your name is Jacob. No longer shall your name be Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So his name was called Israel. Now, God had already done that once, okay? But now he's doing it again now that Jacob is back in the promised land. And God said to him, I'm God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. And of course, that's the first blessing, right in Genesis. The first blessing, after it says that God created male and female in God's own image, be fruitful and multiply. The first command, the first blessing. Because how else is this family of Israelites going to inhabit and take over the land? They've got to outbreed everybody who's there. So, be fruitful and multiply. Same thing when they came back from the Babylonian captivity. Be fruitful and multiply. What's happening in Israel right now? All those settlers that are terrorizing the Palestinians, they're trying to push them off so they can live there and be fruitful and multiply. It's horrible, but that's what's going on. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come for you, and kings shall spring from you. The land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you, and I will give you the land to your descendants after you. In other words, this is another covenant renewal, descendants and land. Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him, and Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone. He poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. That's how you anoint something. That's how you make an altar. You anoint it with oil. So Jacob called the name of the place where God had spoken with him Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and when they were still some distance from Ephraim, Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And when she was in hard labor, the midwife said to her, fear not, for now you'll have another son. And remember, her first son is Joseph. Okay. And as her soul was departing, for she died, she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died, and she was buried on the way to Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. Yeah, Ephraim is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar upon her grave. It is the pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there to this day. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. So keep this in mind. Joseph and Benjamin are the only children of Rachel. They're full brothers. This will be very important at the end of the Joseph story. While Israel dwelt in that land, Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. That's not good. It's not good for the son to go have sex with the dad's woman. But for some reason, Reuben did it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, who just had sex with his dad's woman. Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maid, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's maid, Gad, and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paddan Aram, the 12 sons who will become the 12 tribes of Israel. And Jacob came to his father Isaac in Mamre, or Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had sojourned. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years. Isaac breathed his last, and he died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So Esau came back to bury his dad, and as all we can tell, and we'll see just here in the next chapter. After that, he left and departed into his own, what became his own territory. So that's the end of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Next chapter is just a bunch of lists that we will kind of skim over. We'll look at them, see how important they are. And then in chapter 7, we begin what is called the the Joseph novella. It's a long, long story about Joseph, and how he was sold into slavery and went down to Egypt and saved his people, and on and on and on. It's a great, great, great story. But we'll pick that up next time. So read your Bible. See you next time. Peace.